Next day, day 3 of our trip, we went to Pompeii courtesy of Viator. We had booked this excursion before we left home. We were picked up at the hotel at the appointed hour and began the drive to Pompeii, picking up a few other folks at hotels on the way. After about an hour and a quarter, we arrived at Pompeii. We met up with our guide, who was fabulous. She also knew everything about the ruins. Pompeii and several other nearby towns was destroyed on August 24th, 79 AD by a sudden violent explosion of Vesuvius. Today you can see 2 peaks to the volcano, and Miss Guide told us that they are remnants of the original taller peak, which got blown off in the explosion. Because the town got covered with about 65 feet of ash and pumice, the buildings are remarkably preserved, as we see here. Excavation started in the late 18th century. During these early excavations of the site, occasional voids in the ash layer had been found that contained human remains.
We do have Sorrento. We also have somebody else from the very first thing that they needed to do without even washing their hands, it was having something. The Roman breakfast, it was like a brunch. They could have also had
In 1863, Giuseppe Fiorelli realized that these spaces were left by the decomposed bodies of some of the victims, and so devised the technique of injecting plaster into them to recreate the forms of Vesuvius's victims. This technique is still in use today, with a clear resin now being used instead of plaster, because it's more durable and does not destroy the bones, allowing further analysis. Romans were very keen on public baths. Here's one of several in Pompeii.
it's pretty cool.
This row of shops had living quarters included. Pompeii was a thriving port town. With port towns, you get sailors, and with sailors, you get brothels. This is one that's been unearthed with stone beds in small alcoves and plenty of Roman erotic murals. The Romans were excellent engineers, and they had extensive water distribution systems. Here is one of their lead pipes. In fact, they had extensive lead piping, and the effects of the lead on their bodies and brains have led some historians to suggest that lead poisoning amongst Romans was widespread. Here is one of the many water troughs to be found throughout the city to quench the thirst of its citizens, both two-legged and four-legged. Here we are about to enter the main square or forum. one of the many store areas with some of the recovered artifacts. The cause of all the destruction, Vesuvius itself. On the way back to the parking lot, the bus, and then the hotel. Our drive back to the hotel took the lower coast road, so we could see some of the small towns and the views between Naples and Sorrento.